I'd like to introduce our guest today. He is an All-American from Nebraska, played in the NFL, and now he's a farmer and rancher out in Indiana. Jared Tomich. But first, Jared, I'm sure you'll recognize this. So, Jared, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely.
Jared, thank you for joining us. Well, this is just so Dean can relive all of his years of Nebraska and he doesn't have to listen to me talk about NDSU today.
So, Jared, for those that aren't familiar with you, you were, again, as we said earlier, All-American in Nebraska back in the mid to late 90s. Then you went pro, played for the Saints, and I believe you had 1 year with Green Bay, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
Yep. Had a couple of years with the Packers, and had about seven total in. So it was a great time. It was a great experience going to the pros. Nothing like college though. Nebraska was still, that was still the most fun that I've ever had in playing ball.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, tell people your story. How did you go from being an NFL defenseman and now you're into farming and ranching? How does that happen?
Yeah, so I moved back home after football, which is in Northwest Indiana, and always had that dream to have a little farm, and have just a hobby farm, and grew up riding horses and having different animals, but nothing to the effect that I have now, and we found, it was about 8 years ago, we found a nice little farm, and with some acreage down south of us, and in kind of the southern part of what they call Northwest Indiana here, and just we're able to acquire that, and so we've been just kind of building everything up over the years, and I love it. It is my stress relief. I have more fun doing that, and my boys, I have two boys, 12 and 7, and they get involved, and it's just a lot of fun, and we have a little bit of everything. We have about 50 head of cattle, which we mainly raise Scottish Highlands, but then we have quite a few others that we crossbreed with, and then we have some sheep and some goat and some pigs, and we have a blast. We absolutely love it, and it's just it's how I wanted my boys that opportunity to kind of grow up in the farming, and just in the farming, small farm like we have.
And Bridget?
So Jared, I was going to ask, if you've got livestock, do you also have cropland as well, or are you doing hay ground or anything like that to supplement what you're doing with the livestock?
Yeah, we have a little bit of pasture land, but not enough to supplement throughout the year. So I'm buying from local friends just right around us, in small squares and round bales, and then some corn stalks to get us through the winter as well. And it's I'm really still even in my infancy with this, and so I'm learning every year, and just having fun with it. And we rotationally graze our pastures that we have with our guys, and that works great. Have just been deep diving into all that over the more and more, and just learning how to manage the land that we have, in addition to the livestock.
And Jared,
so the Scottish Highlands. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Bridget. Go ahead.
So the Scottish Highlands, how did you choose that breed? I mean, first of all, they are absolutely the cutest little critter ever. But was there a real preference for them and a real market to bring that Highland in?
When I started kind of researching everything in the beginning, they were just one that stuck out to me. They're very docile. They're a heritage breed, and I started off with a handful of with the Highlands, and then also did some Irish Dexters and some British Whites. So I just kind of stuck in the heritage breeds in the beginning. They're a little bit smaller. They were a little more manageable in the sense that they're not beating up the land quite as much as 50 head of big cattle. And we have some of those too in there, kind of mixed in the bunch. And then the cute factor. I mean, it's like like this morning I went out and we had two new babies on the ground, and it's like two little teddy bears running around the pasture. So they are great, and the moms are fantastic, fantastic moms, and So a lot of that just had to do with, the ease of the breed in the beginning, and they're super cool. They love to be combed, and they've just it's interesting. They've really gotten popular in the past couple of years.
And Jared, what would you say is the biggest surprise that you've encountered, or maybe the hardest thing that you've encountered while working on your ranch?
Just probably time management. I have probably at any given time 15 to 20 open projects that I'm doing, and just trying to always making it better, always trying to make everything a little more efficient, whether that's with watering, whether that's with pasture, reseeding, and just, there's such a learning curve when you didn't grow up in it and grow up doing it. It's a lot to learn, and there's some hard knocks, kind of, along that way too. But it's so rewarding and so much fun. And now I've had the opportunity to kind of help. We do from some freezer beef, but really the majority of like our Highlands, we're selling for starter herds. And we've had starter herds go to Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, out to Nebraska. And so with folks doing that, so it's super rewarding to be able to raise them and then, kind of help other folks get going the same thing, on a small scale that we are. It's a lot of fun, and it's a great network.
And how are your boys taking to it? Are they enjoying working? You teaching them, and are they going to follow in your footsteps and maybe expand things once they get older?
If they feel like it, it's a fun way to grow up. They love it. I mean, there's nothing. They think it's the coolest thing because, like my youngest boy now, when he has show and tell, I'll typically bring in a calf or bring in a couple of lambs into school. I've even brought our donkeys in there, before, and so, fun stuff like that. They absolutely love it, and it's neat for them to be able to go down there and just experience that. Because it's I think a lot of kids get that less and less nowadays. So it was important for my wife and I to really to have them be able to experience a lot of those good things, and they love it.
So, Jared, as a guy who decided he wanted to go back and buy some farmland and get involved, are you surprised when you saw that there's a pool of NFL players who are now buying productive cropland in places like Iowa, when you have Joe Burrows who wants to buy in? Are you surprised at that, or do you think that's a trend that's going to continue as more folks want to return to that part of their life, being part of the land?
I hope it continues. No, and I'm not too surprised. It's super neat to see. And, especially, you get folks that are going to be good stewards, to the land, and it's investment wise, it's a great investment. And depending on what you want to do, and whether it's, row cropping or pasturing, it's a great idea. It's a great investment. I can remember when I first got to the NFL, I looked at property in Nebraska, and back then, and I just didn't pull the trigger. And then, when you get, you look back 10 years and you look and you go, wow, that would have been an incredible investment if I would have pushed things that way. And everything's, hindsight is always, but yeah, I mean, I think it's a great thing for guys, for, athletes and anybody really, but, to get into, portions of property and land and go that direction.
And Jared, did you find what was the most difficult thing transition-wise going from being a pro athlete to starting up basically a farm and ranch from, as you said, at scratch? What was the most difficult part of that?
Maybe that there's no cheering section out there for me. It's just a matter, it's all if you're doing individually by yourself. And so it's you're learning, there's nobody, and I didn't have, I've got some really good farmer friends in the area that I've made, but a lot of it is just, trial and error and kind of just taking learning as you go. So it's, and there's great books out there. There's a ton of information on YouTube. Some can be great, some can be not so great. So you got to take it all in and then figure out what works works good farm or your land, because what's good for, folks down south isn't good for me, and kind of, vice versa. So it's just, absorbing it all like a sponge, and then just, trying different things and applying it.
And today we have an interview with Jared Tomich. Jared played football at Nebraska, but then went on to play in the NFL for the Saints and the Packers. Now, tell me if I get any of these stats wrong. 56 tackles, 10 sacks. You were a round 2 pick in the draft. Which is easier, throwing sheep or tossing around other NFL players?
I'm more sore sometimes when I'm out in the pasture than when I was, playing ball years ago. So for sure, that is for sure. There's days I wake up going, oh yeah, this might not be for me.
Yeah, nobody ever said, even though they're cute, sometimes they push back a little bit. They, whether it's sheep or little tiny calves, they can get you good.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah, and trying to move them sometimes when they don't want to be moved, and yes.
And Jared, can you see? Yeah, can you see us on video, Jared?
I can, yeah.
Okay, so we have the camera pointing at one of our producers, Ronnie. He is a diehard Husker fan, and I don't know if you can see him there. He's got.
I see that jacket.
He's got the Husker. He's had that since high school, and I brought him down to Nebraska for the UND game from this last year, and was lucky enough. I know some people that work there, and we brought him on the field for the first time. He's always been a Husker fan, and he just got the chills, and he said, "This is unbelievable." So.
Greatest fans in the world,
aren't they? No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
It's a good day.
Yeah. And Jared, so you have your own business as well, where you kind of tie that in with the ag community. Not only do you ranch, but you have another business that you tie in with the ag community. Explain to us what that's all about.
Sure. So Mixed Design is my wife. She created about 20 years ago. It's a branding and design company that we specialize in experience. And creating, telling the story of ag from the company or the farmer to the public. She kind of took the step to more agricultural about 8-9 years ago, and a great portion of what we do now is in the ag world. We have clients, all the way from Texas to Wisconsin, whether that be state fairs or farm bureaus or different corporations that we work with, and it's fun. It's never the same day twice. My lovely wife is standing here next to me, and can you might come over for a second. Say hi. Say hi to everybody.
Is she coaching you right now, Jared? She gets to coach you for a change.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I need it when it comes to this. So absolutely.
It's actually a good compliment. A lot of my team building stuff comes from his knowledge from the football field, and a lot of his agriculture experiments, I'll call them, come from, play into some of the things that I talk to when we're representing agriculture, like big scale and then hobby farm.
Okay, so Mrs. Tomich, lovely wife in the background. Do you have a farm background as well, or a little bit of that, or is this all kind of developed as you guys got more involved with the cattle and so forth?
Yeah, no, and
I said, do you have a farm background?
No, yeah, gardening background, but not farm. No, she didn't grow up in farming at all.
No, we actually, my branding company for the first 10 years was really focused on the food service industry, and a lot of retail and such. And now we, about 6-8 years ago, we did a project for a large group that put on a dairy facility, Fair Oaks Farms, and from there we started meeting people in the pork industry and the dairy industry all around the country, and realized that farmers could do a better job telling their story, and some of them are on a grand scale and some of them are on a smaller scale, and so we kind of have found really great clients on all those spectrums. And
do you want to talk about?
They find delight in our antics, as we've learned most of our stuff on YouTube.
Well, Do you want to talk a little about Fair Oaks Farms? Because they have, and I just so happens I'm actually sitting in Indiana right now, but they have a great
Come on.
story. And it's just fabulous, all the things with Fair Oaks. So, yeah, I'm actually in Indianapolis, but please talk about them if you would.
Well, Fair Oaks Farms is an agritourism destination. About 8 or 10 years ago, we helped them develop their pig and pork education experience, and we also did their dairy adventure. Um, they have done a fantastic job of showing the consumer the behind the scenes process of a real working production facility. So you go to that farm and some people might have, more of a typical traditional farm experience hope. But when you get there, then you learn the real typical farm and agriculture high-end production facility has to do things a little bit differently to give us the consistency and the quality that we expect every day when we're at the grocery store. So they did a phenomenal job of having both. You kind of go through their experience, you learn some of the educational things, and then you get on a bus and you go see behind the scenes. They spent a lot of money, probably double what a normal production facility has spent, to allow you to look down on their whole facility from above.
And do you feel that people are more aware of how farming works now, how ranching works now than it was, let's say, 15 years ago, in terms of educating the public?
They do, but we have quite a variety of clients. We are. It's fun that you're sitting in Indianapolis. We're going to help tell the story of Indiana pork at their new swine production facility they're building at the state fair. But I think, from our state fair clients all the way down to our county fair people that are telling a story, a lot of them have the same questions about sustainability and consistency and quality and animal care. And so I think although people are more aware, they want to see for themselves and kind of trust the process a little bit more. And so for each person, it's sort of a different set of questions, but the consistency of seeing it in different places will build that trust with farming, with industry. And, the only way to do it any different would be for everyone to start farming again on their own. So we're trying to do that, with just our beef.
That's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, and it's unrealistic. So there's really a place for all different types of farms, and I think that the more people see those messages in the more places, the more they can build their own answers. Food is a trust process.
And if you have any questions for Jared and his wife, give us a call, 701-293-9000, 701-293-9000, or you can email us at weather@flagfamily.com. Mm-hmm. And Jared, I notice on your Facebook you often will post pictures and beautiful pictures this morning, obviously, of new calves being born. And you often post pictures of wildlife coming onto your property. Your dogs are just sitting there, doesn't bother them. And do you ever have trouble with the wildlife coming on and maybe spooking some of the animals at all?
No, we've got a set of dogs that are just fantastic. Great Pyrenees mixes that really, their job is to keep the farm safe, and they do an incredible job with that. As far as for predators go, we had the opportunity with some orphaned baby deer in the spring that were kind of it's funny, you get a farm and then people start dropping animals off. Or calling you for certain things. And so these two baby deer we had gotten, they were maybe a day or two old. And then
two different people, by the way.
Yeah, two different
We're
people.
Like, where do we take this deer? Let's take it to. We have a couple local cities that have done the same thing with chickens. They chickens, and they're like, call the Tomiches. They'll take them.
Right. So we bottle fed those baby deer, and it's Charlie and Lily. And they're wonderful. They come and go as they please, and walk around and hang out and play with the dogs. And it's been a treat. We know that those are wild animals, and they're going to get that call to go to the wild here probably pretty soon, being that they're about a year old now. And hopefully we'll get a chance to see them here and there. But no, it's those experiences that we've had the opportunity out there that's just incredible. and super, super fulfilling.
And to answer your question,
Now,
the dogs aren't by them.
That's good.
that's good. Now, a question that everybody's going to ask, no matter the size of your farm, what color is your farm equipment? Is this more of a John Deere family, more Case? Are we driving Kubotas? What do you got over there?
You know what? I am working with tractors and things that are much older than myself. I've got a 19.
You should probably ask him more about his wish list.
Yeah. My wish list is growing. But I've got a 1953 Ford tractor that works every day, and then I've got a 1974 John Deere utility tractor that works about every day type thing. And yes, I wanted to get a good feel for what I needed before we dive into any of that stuff, because
he's researching.
those expenses when it comes to tractors and things like that are I mean, it's a big deal. That's and so and for our place we don't need large equipment, but yeah, that there's a skid steer. I think a Kubota skid steer would be first on my list for helping out on the farm.
Awesome.
Good question, though.
Yeah. And Jared, if anybody's interested in getting in touch with you or your wife about your business and how you might be able to help them, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
Well, you can go to mixdesign.com. It's MIX design, and you can email the info@mixdesign.com goes right to me. So we
Yep.
actually have a team of about 20 people, and we do a lot of digital gaming, programming, technology, design build, the brand part, storytelling, and then we also help with matching up partners. We've helped places like Fair Oaks pitch to John Deere and build partnerships. We're doing the creamery out in Beaver, Utah, Indiana State Fair. We help them with all their corporate and client, really working not just to have a sponsor, but have these different companies help tell the story from their expertise. So that's kind of cool too.
Great. And before we go, Jared, how often do you get back for a Nebraska game?
We try to, especially with the boys at their ages, we try to get back once a year. I know we'll make it back this year for a game, and I know last year we did not, but we usually try to get back
We've
there.
been in our yard a lot in Illinois and Purdue and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So we go there too.
Yeah, being in the Big Ten is pretty neat because we get the opportunity to go to these away games and see them play, and so we always go make the Purdue game because that's only 45 minutes from us, and the Illinois game and things like that. So it's really pretty neat for us to be able to catch a bunch of games.
Purdue should be there this year, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think Purdue is at home this year. So, maybe we'll come out for that one.
I think we're going to road trip it. Our wonderful diehard Husker fan, Ronnie, we're going to road trip it down, hopefully for the Michigan game. Going to take the trip down 29. So let's keep in touch, and hopefully we can meet up in Nebraska for a game and maybe have a beer.
Oh, yeah. That would be great.
Okay, Dean is only asking so that if you're not there, he can use your seats. I just want you to know that. That's the only reason he cares.
Jared would like to barbecue for all of you. He's
Yep.
a big barbecuer, so his tailgate.
I follow him on Facebook, and every time I see pictures of, oh man, it's just mouth-watering for sure.
It looks.
It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us on Weather and Ag in Focus. We appreciate your time, and when we come back, we'll hit more on the blizzard warning.